How many other guarantees did Dame have available? Dame got a buyout from the Bucks and new contract with the Blazers, and Dame returning makes increased valuation for the Blazers. So glad to hear Dame's back, but his return increases the win. Does his return increase the win for the Blazers? Not next year because he won't play.
No, although he was asked about that yesterday, and they both gave like a smirky, we're going to take our time, and as long as
He's not going to play this season. I don't know why we couldn't just say that.
Aaron Rodgers almost returned in a week, Bob.
Yeah,
okay, let's not overlook this, okay? Aaron Rodgers nearly returned by Halloween. You're telling me Dame might be back by Christmas.
Look, I don't want to be naive here, all right? I want to get into this audio. We have a lot of audio, and we got to talk to Gulliver. I don't want to be naive. Absolutely. This is a business decision as much as it is just emotional as well.
Yeah, we've said that the entire time.
And that's okay to know that and acknowledge it. I also think sometimes it's, if you're not going to win a championship, and there's only so many teams in that league that'll do it, and we know the Blazers are not at that level yet, it's also not a bad thing to have your fan base go, I like my team. Even if they only win 39 games or 41 games next year, which would be an increase, there's going to be a lot of nights you walk out of that building going, man, that was fun. And I know the ultimate goal, in our opinions as sports media people and fans of sports, we want to see a championship here. I want to see that happen again. I didn't get to experience it the first time. But right now, they're not at that level. So they're giving us the Tamani, Denny, Drew, what's Scoot and Shea going to be, Donovan, Young Hansen. Like, they're giving us a roster that goes, they're going to compete every night. They're going to play hard. And some nights they're going to pull off upsets. Other nights they're going to lose nail biters. But it's fun, and it's something to care about. It's not been successful, but in a way, it's like turning a page to
back to where we were.
Let's get back to, competing and being a playoff team. That's their goal.
Look, we've said the entire time that there's two sides to this coin. There is this is awesome, this is so cool. Even yesterday watching the presser, I'm like, it doesn't feel real. Like, it's just kind of strange holding up the uniform like he was drafted again. Like, what are we doing? It's strange, and it's going to take a long time to sink in. It's okay to appreciate it, to enjoy the fun nature of Damian Lillard being back in a Blazer uniform, while also asking aloud, how does this all work on the basketball floor? And we don't know the answer to that because what you're saying, Sprague, is 100% spot on, and that is he's not going to play this year. And so what will the roster look like a year from now? Then it's a more applicable question about how does Dame fit into this. Is Scoot and Shaden going to still be here? Do you trade Drew Holiday? Like, I have no clue what all of that is going to look like a calendar year from now. Where my tone has shifted a little bit on this from when the news was initially broken, because I had mainly that thought of like, man, this is a business move. You're trying to sell tickets. With all the murky future that we're facing here in this city of, do we need a new arena? The team is for sale. That makes me uncomfortable. When you have the commissioner of the league come out and say it's our preference the team stays there, not they're going to stay there or it's a guarantee they're going to stay there, I get a little nervous. I pucker a little bit. And so anything that we can do to help the bottom line in the short term to make us more attractive to not only a buyer, but on top of that, keep the NBA's foot on the gas of keeping them in Portland, I'm all for it, and I think Damian Lillard helps that.
This one's a lengthy one, but let's start. I thought this was a great question answer. The only thing I would have liked, because I think Richmond asked this one, is I would have loved to have heard Joe's thought, but Dame gave a great answer of the relationship with Joe Cronin clearly came to a crashing end before the trade. He was then traded and bitter, and you can't blame anybody on either side, I think, for feeling how they felt. Here was Dame Lillard on his relationship being mended with general manager Joe Cronin.
I think toward the end, I think it was a lot of misunderstandings and miscommunication. And when something like that comes up, people are hurt. I'm not saying nothing, and then I'm seeing things that were said by me, and now I'm looking at things sideways. So I think more than anything, it was miscommunication and misunderstandings. And Joe and I never sat down and talked about that. It just kind of sat out there, and we let it be what it was, and I think that was the mistake. But I wouldn't say when I left, I just was not a big fan of Joe. Me and Joe had a great relationship, the entire time before he became GM and while he was GM. But I think at that time, it was a hard time, like I was moving on and things were being said, like I said. So it was more a misunderstanding than anything. And the last game that we played here, I went over before the game and I said hello to Joe. I said hello to Jody, and For me, I really wanted them to know that it was, no hard feelings. During that time when it was happening, sometimes when you're emotional, you handle things from a position of protecting yourself and not knowing what's going on, on the other side. And then over time, you calm down and you figure it out. And, I'm not a kid, so, that wasn't hard for me to do. And it honestly wasn't even after that, it wasn't a long conversation to move past that. And I think that was because we never had a bad relationship, or it was never a dislike, or us not being a fan of each other, like you said.
Chauncey Billups said at the start of the press conference, Dame Lillard's going to be the most expensive assistant coach in the NBA. He'll make $70 million next year from both Milwaukee and Portland. And to hear that, ultimately the emotions, and I don't even know if betrayal's the right term, but whatever he felt at the end where he left, he went back to what the city meant to him. He has built kind of an empire here, really. His family's here. There's businesses. He's really entrenched in the community. He's got a camp opening today. He helps a lot of the local schools that really need guidance of a Damian Lillard or help of the Damian Lillard. And so for both sides to kind of mend those fences, it sounds like it's something that, maybe the first 6 months in Milwaukee, it was like, what's happening here? I don't like. He realized very quickly, and they kept in touch. Joe's a professional. He's been around this team forever. And he also, I think, realized the magnitude of the decision to trade Dame Lillard. And
there was a bit of the Luka Doncic reaction of we knew he was a big deal, but we didn't quite realize it was going to have that level of impact on him.
Yeah, I'll at least say this for him, too, to give him some credit. He didn't put his feet down and say, I made the right decision. Nico Harrison is fortune favors the bold when they got the number one pick, and he's doubling and tripling down. Joe hasn't done any of that, and him and Dame have mended their fences, and they're okay now.
Well, clearly they're okay now, and I would add to that I think everything that Dame felt at the time was completely valid. I mean, he was told for 2 years, and we were told for 2 years, we're going to go so all in it's going to hurt, and allow us to tank so that we can go get the assets that we need to put a winning team around you.
Yes.
And then for 3 first-round picks in back-to-back years, they drafted an unproven player at 7 who didn't play college ball, drafted a guy in the 20s, and then drafted Scoot Henderson. And so they went completely against their word of what they were telling him, and he was completely in the right to ask out. It's a good reminder, though, for everybody. We talk about this in a million different professions. We deal with this with college football coaches all the time. The grass isn't always greener on the other side of the fence. You could think bigger opportunity, chance to win. I want to go do X, Y, and Z and accomplish all of this. It doesn't always work out that way, and you don't quite have that same level of love that you had in your new city that you did in your old. And so to have him back, you could clearly tell that was a big reason why he wanted to return.